The sun was beginning to rise on the horizon, tinting the sky with a soft orange hue, as I, Li Wei, prepared for another day of work. The scent of the sacred lake, mixed with the fresh morning breeze, brought me a certain relief, but the routine I followed was starting to weigh heavily on my shoulders. I was a simple fisherman in a village by this lake, and although life was calm, it felt like it was trapping me in an endless repetition. The sound of the water lapping against the shores and the songs of the birds were constant companions, but they couldn't fill the emptiness I felt. I picked up my net and placed it in my small wooden boat. The movement was automatic, almost like a rehearsed dance I knew by heart. Wake up early, fish, return home, sell some fish at the local market, and so on. When did my life become so predictable? I wondered as I rowed toward the center of the lake. The sun's reflection on the water seemed to look back at me, and I couldn't help but let out a deep sigh. The truth was that I longed for something more. Dreams of adventures, new horizons, and changes that would bring a breath of life to my daily routine. But how could I change something I didn't even know how to transform? The answer remained distant, like a boat adrift in a vast ocean. As the day progressed, the sun rose higher, and I cast my net into the water, hoping today would be different. Patience was a virtue I had learned to cultivate, but deep down, frustration began to consume me. When the net returned empty, a tightening in my chest became increasingly unbearable. What am I doing wrong? I asked myself. Why can't I catch anything today? After hours of waiting, I decided it was time to take a break. While watching the gentle movement of the waves, I spotted a familiar figure in the distance near the shore. Mei Lin, my childhood friend, was crouched down, gathering medicinal herbs. I couldn't help but smile. Mei Lin had always been a source of light in my life, with her free spirit and insatiable curiosity. I let my boat drift and walked toward her. "Hi, Mei Lin," I called, waving my hand. She turned around, and her face lit up with a warm smile. "Li Wei, it's so good to see you. How's the fishing today?" she asked, a hint of concern in her voice. "Another day? Nothing. The water seems empty of fish today," I replied, sitting down beside her and looking at the herbs she had collected. "And you? What are you doing with those herbs?" "I'm preparing a remedy for a villager's stomachache. These herbs are great for digestion," she said, pulling out a leaf and smelling it with a satisfied air. "You know how passionate I am about helping people." "Yes, that's true. You've always had that gift," I replied, admiring her. Mei Lin had a special connection with nature, something I had always admired. "But don't you miss something more? Something beyond herbs and remedies?" She paused for a moment, thoughtful. "Sometimes, yes. But I believe each of us has a purpose, and mine is to help people heal. And you, Li Wei, what do you desire?" "I don't know," I confessed, looking at the lake. "I feel like I'm stuck in a routine. Fishing is all I know, but it's not what I really want to do. I would like to explore, to discover what more life has to offer." "Maybe you should seek out a teaching that could change that," Mei Lin suggested, her eyes sparkling. "I've heard rumors about an ancient ritual that involves water and salt. They say if you write your name on a piece of paper and immerse it in salted water, miracles can happen." Miracles? "Do you believe in that, Mei Lin?" I asked, skeptical. "I don't know if it's true, but there is power in our intentions and in how we ask the universe. Sometimes, all we need is a sign, something that makes us believe that change is possible," she replied, with a sincerity that touched me. I fell silent, pondering her words. The idea of making a wish, of having hope for something beyond what I knew, began to spark a small flame within me. "Do you really think this could work? Why not try? What do you have to lose, Li Wei?" She smiled encouragingly. "If you believe in something with all your heart, you might just attract it into your life." My thoughts were jumbled, but a deep desire began to blossom within me. The desire to believe, to have hope, to see the impossible become possible. Maybe I should try, I murmured more to myself. If you decide to do it, I'll be here to help, Mei Lin said, standing up and extending her hand. Let's do it together. That simple gesture of friendship gave me courage, and for the first time in a long time, I felt that something could change. The path to the unknown seemed less daunting with Mei Lin by my side. As we walked back to the village together, the sky began to darken, but a new light started to shine within me. I was ready to explore what the future might hold, and who knows, maybe I would finally find the miracle I had been seeking. That night, the moonlight gently illuminated the sacred lake, and the sound of crickets filled the fresh air. I felt my heart race as I sat on a stone by the water's edge, holding a piece of yellowed paper between my fingers. What Mei Lin had told me resonated in my mind. Put your name in salted water and watch miracles happen in your life. Her words danced in my head like the waves on the surface of the lake. I took a deep breath, trying to calm the avalanche of emotions rushing through me. I looked around, absorbing the tranquility of the environment, as if the lake itself were encouraging me. With a firm stroke, I wrote Li Wei on the paper, wondering if I really had the courage to believe in what I was about to do. Doubt surrounded me like a cloud, but hope was a faint light shining deep in my heart. Now all I had to do was dive in, I whispered to myself, as I prepared a small container with water and salt. The smell of sea salt reminded me of the journeys I dreamed of taking, the adventures I longed to live. With a determined gesture, I placed the paper into the turquoise water, watching it float, and closed my eyes for a moment, making my most sincere wish. May prosperity and happiness come to me and my family. The night passed slowly, and I let myself be carried away by sleep, dreaming of a bright and promising future. That morning, I woke up to the sound of birds singing and sunlight streaming through the window. The day seemed promising, and the expectation of something different filled me with energy. I decided that no matter what happened, I would have faith. When I went to the lake, the fresh scent of nature enveloped me. The sound of water lapping at the shores calmed me, and I prepared for another fishing journey. As I cast my net, I couldn't help but smile at the memory of my conversation with Mei Lin. She was the only one who truly believed in me, and our friendship had always been a light in my life. After a few hours of fishing, something unexpected happened. I felt a strong resistance in the net, and my heart raced. What could I have caught? I thought, pulling the net with all the strength I had. When I finally managed to bring up what was caught, I spun the net around and was left speechless. It was a giant fish, shiny and glowing, as if it had been bathed in gold. My God, this can't be real, I exclaimed, almost breathless. The adrenaline rushed through my veins as I held the fish in my hands, feeling that luck had truly changed. An involuntary laugh escaped my lips, and I couldn't stop thinking about how this could transform my life. This must be the miracle Mei Lin mentioned. With my heart racing, I ran back to the village. As I crossed the dirt streets, I called for Mei Lin. Mei Lin, you won't believe what happened. Anxiety and joy mingled in every word that came out of my mouth. She appeared at her door, a curious smile on her face. What is it, Li Wei? You look like you've seen a spirit. Look, I shouted, holding the giant fish in my hands. I caught this. It's incredible. It must weigh over 5 kilos. Mei Lin's eyes sparkled with admiration. Wow, that's amazing. You performed the ritual, right? Yes, I did. You were right. Emotion overflowed in my voice. I believe the ritual really works. Mei Lin stepped forward and touched the fish. This is a sign, Li Wei. You must share this story with the other fishermen. They need to know that miracles can happen. I hesitated for a moment, recalling the skeptical reactions I had often encountered. Do you think they will believe me? It might just have been luck. You can't think like that. Look at what you've achieved. If you share your story, you could inspire others to believe too. Faith is contagious, she said passionately. Mei Lin's determination infected me, and soon the idea of telling everyone became irresistible. With the huge fish still in my hands, I went to the village market where the fishermen gathered to sell their catches. When I arrived, everyone looked at me with curiosity. "Hey everyone, you won't believe what happened," I began, my voice overflowing with enthusiasm. "I caught this giant fish this morning." The glances shifted between the fish and my face, but the reaction was not what I expected. Some laughed, while others murmured among themselves, "Oh, Li Wei, you've always had a vivid imagination." One of the fishermen, Zhang, scoffed. "It must be just another story to impress us." "That's right. A fish that size, you must be exaggerating." Another chimed in. I felt a chill in my stomach, as if all the energy I had built up was dissipating. "But it's true. I performed the ritual Mei Lin taught me. You can ask her." "Ritual? What do you mean by that?" Zhang approached, a sarcastic smile on his lips. "Do you really believe that writing your name in the water with salt will change your life? That's just superstition." I could feel doubt growing inside me, but I didn't want to give up. "It's not just that. It's about faith. It's believing that things can change if you allow them," I said, trying to convey the passion I felt. Zhang shook his head, laughing. "Are you really going to believe that? This ritual is nothing but a joke. Look around you. Who else has succeeded? No one!" The laughter of the other fishermen echoed in my ears, and insecurity began to seep into my heart. Maybe I was just lucky," I murmured, looking at the ground. "Li Wei, don't let their negativity affect you." Mei Lin's voice echoed in my mind. "Faith is personal, and what matters is what you believe." But amid the laughter and skepticism, I wondered, what if they are right? What if all this is just an illusion? Doubt and insecurity consumed me, and I felt that instead of drawing closer to a miracle, I was moving further away from it. Night fell over the village like a gentle cloak, and the moonlight reflected on the waters of the sacred lake. I sat by the lake, my heart racing, as I watched the gentle waves dance to the rhythm of the breeze. Since I began performing the salt ritual, small changes had started to happen around me, yet still, a part of me felt skeptical. What was this power really? Was it just luck, or was there something deeper behind it? With a piece of paper in hand, I wrote my name once more. Li Wei wrote with careful handwriting, as if each letter carried a wish and a hope. After placing the paper in a container with water and salt, I closed my eyes and made my most sincere wish. May I be able to support my family and live in peace. The ritual became a sacred moment, an instant where I was in touch with something greater than myself. The next morning, when I went fishing, I noticed the sea was calmer and the nets seemed fuller. A smile blossomed on my face as I pulled in the nets and saw what I had captured. Bigger and more abundant fish than usual. This can't just be a coincidence, I thought as I ran home, eager to tell Mei Lin. "Hello, Li Wei," she greeted me with a radiant smile upon seeing me. "You look excited today. What happened?" "Mei Lin, you won't believe it," I exclaimed, breathless. "I caught more fish than ever. It's as if something has changed. It could be the ritual, or maybe the sacred water really has some power." She tilted her head, assessing my excitement. "I'm happy for you, my friend. Sometimes changes come when we least expect them. But remember, the important thing is to believe that you can make a difference in your life." Mei Lin was always a source of support and wisdom. Sometimes I wondered if she believed in the ritual herself, but as I spoke, I saw a spark of hope in her eyes, and it warmed my heart. The day passed lightly, and the satisfaction of having caught so much filled me with courage. But at the same time, I felt a shadow of doubt hovering over me. What if all of this was temporary? That night, while gazing at the stars reflected in the water, I realized that Mei Lin's life wasn't going as well as mine. She was dedicated to her healing practice, but I had noticed that the people in the village no longer sought her out as they used to. Her gaze sometimes wandered off into deep thoughts. I decided to approach her. "Mei Lin, are you okay?" I asked, sitting down beside her. "I noticed that you seem worried." She sighed, looking at the lake. "It's true, Li Wei. The healing practice is difficult. People are drifting away, looking for remedies elsewhere and ignoring what is traditional. I feel like I'm losing my purpose. But you have so much to offer." I encouraged her, trying to draw her attention. "The herbs you use, the remedies you create, they are valuable and have helped many people. I know, but..." She hesitated, searching for the right words. "Sometimes I wonder if I really make a difference, if what I do still matters." Those words echoed in my mind. I too struggled with uncertainties, and in a way, I felt we were both on a parallel journey. I decided to share more about the ritual with her. "Do you believe we can transform our lives with faith?" I asked, looking into her eyes. "I believe faith is powerful, but it's not everything. We need to act in accordance with that faith too." She replied, thoughtful. "What I've noticed is that many seem to wait for miracles to happen without doing anything." "You're right," I agreed. "The ritual is just one part. Action and intention are crucial. What do you think about us trying together? We could help the village reconnect with its traditions and with faith in what we have." "That might work," she said, her gaze beginning to shine. "If people understand that their actions can bring about changes, perhaps they will seek healing in nature and tradition again." That ignited a flame in our hearts. What was once an individual ritual could now transform into something that united the village. But at the same time, there was a fear in the air. What if people didn't believe? What if the doubts I felt spread to everyone? With this new determination, we decided that the next day we would talk to some people in the village. We needed to share our experience, to show that small changes could lead to significant transformations. It was time to act. The next morning, as the sun rose, we both walked to the village's central square. The smell of fresh coffee and baked bread filled the air, and the voices of the villagers began to echo. Listening to the conversations, I felt there was vibrant energy, but also a shadow of skepticism. "Hello, friends," I greeted them, trying to catch everyone's attention. "Mei Lin and I would like to share something with you." The gazes turned to us, and Mei Lin began to speak. "We are experiencing something special with an ancient ritual that involves water and salt. We believe this can help bring positive changes to our lives." A murmur swept through the crowd. Some people seemed intrigued, while others exchanged skeptical glances. "That's just superstition," one of the older fishermen shouted. "Why should we believe in something so simplistic?" Mei Lin took a deep breath, staying calm. "It's not just about superstition. It's about believing in ourselves and the changes we can provoke. We have seen results in our own lives. A bigger fish or a better harvest is not a miracle." Another man joined the conversation, crossing his arms. "It's just luck." I felt my heart tighten. How could we convince a village so full of doubts? But looking at Mei Lin, I saw she was determined. I then decided to take a stand. "What if it's not just about luck?" I asked, my voice steady. "What if true change comes from within us? What do we want for our lives? What do we wish for our families?" The tension in the air began to dissipate. Some faces showed interest. A murmur of acceptance started to form. Mei Lin seized the opportunity. "Let's gather tonight and try the ritual together. If it doesn't work, you don't have to believe. But if it does work, maybe we can rebuild our community around faith and hope." The proposal lingered in the air, and to my surprise, some people began to nod, showing they were willing to try. My heart raced in my chest. We could really make a difference. The afternoon dragged on, and expectations grew. As night fell, the village gathered by the lake, illuminated by flickering lanterns. I looked at Mei Lin, and she smiled, a smile that said we were in this journey together, no matter what happened. As we prepared for the ritual, I knew that regardless of the outcome, we were creating a space of hope, a space where faith could flourish, and that in itself was a small miracle. The sun began to set, painting the sky orange and pink as Mei Lin and I found ourselves again by the lake. The scent of the water mixed with the aroma of the herbs Mei Lin was gathering was comforting. I felt a different energy in the air, something that stirred our hearts and propelled us to act. The ritual we had discovered seemed to have a profound impact, not only on our lives, but also on the life of the village. Mei Lin began, her eyes shining, saying we should share this wisdom with others. If it worked for us, imagine what it could do for them. I asked if she thought they would believe us, feeling a bit skeptical. Some of them still mocked our idea, but we couldn't let the fear of mockery stop us from trying. Believing is the first step to seeing miracles happen, she replied, with the conviction I always admired in her. As we talked, the idea began to take shape in my mind. What we had gone through together was something special, and perhaps, if we could unite the village around this practice, we could truly create a transformation. Looking at Mei Lin, I realized she was right. It wasn't just about us, but about everyone living there, struggling like us for better days. We decided to organize a meeting in the village's central square. With Mei Lin's help, I spent the day talking to the townspeople. Some were hesitant, but many were curious. Anticipation grew. Night fell, and with it, the lanterns were lit, casting a soft glow on the faces of those gathered. I began, my voice a bit shaky but filled with determination, saying we were here today to share something that could change our lives. Mei Lin and I had discovered an ancient teaching that involved water and salt. By writing our names and making a sincere wish, miracles could happen. A murmur of skepticism spread through the crowd. An older fisherman named Chen raised his voice, asking if I really believed in miracles. Wasn't life made of illusions? I responded, trying to stay calm, saying I had been like him, skeptical and hopeless. But something changed. I had caught a huge fish, something that had never happened before. And it wasn't just that. Mei Lin also saw changes in her healing practice. Mei Lin, noticing the doubt on the villagers' faces, decided to intervene. She acknowledged that many were skeptical, but urged them to listen. It wasn't just about a ritual, it was about the faith we placed in it. When we began to believe, the universe responded. Together, we could create something incredible. The tension began to disperse, and some people started murmuring among themselves. I looked around, noticing those who had the same spark of hope in their eyes. I suggested we try together, gathering by the lake that night to practice the ritual. If it didn't work, at least we would have tried. Finally, a smile appeared on Chen's face as he agreed to see what I was capable of. With that, the meeting ended, and people began to disperse. Mei Lin and I exchanged knowing glances. There was something greater at play, a force guiding us. Night came, and the starlight illuminated the sacred lake. The group of villagers gathered, and the atmosphere was charged with anticipation and a bit of nervousness. One by one, we began to share our names, writing them on paper and dipping them in the salt water. I instructed everyone to make a sincere wish, with hope pulsing in my heart. As I watched the people around me, I saw the transformation in their faces. Doubt began to give way to belief. One by one, the villagers surrendered to the ritual, and it was something magical. Mei Lin was by my side, her gaze overflowing with pride. The first reactions started to emerge. Chen's wife, a woman with a generous smile named Lian, blinked in astonishment, saying she had wished for her son to find a good job, as he had been so discouraged. I asked what had happened, and she exclaimed that he had just received a job offer that morning. A miracle. Everyone around began to applaud, the emotion growing among us. I was filled with joy. The stories of miracles began to flow. A young woman named Zia shared that she had reconciled with her mother after years of misunderstandings. Another fisherman named Jin was moved as he recounted how he had found a new fishing spot in an area previously considered barren. "We were in this together," Mei Lin whispered, looking at the united crowd. "We were creating something greater than ourselves." The mood in the village was changing, and hope was becoming a new reality. But, like any good tale, there is always a shadow that looms when the light shines brightest. What we didn't know was that the tranquility of our village was about to be challenged. In the days that followed, reports of miracles continued to spread. People began to come together more, sharing their experiences and strengthening community bonds. The ritual of water and salt had become a symbol of transformation and faith. The village was thriving, and the connection between us grew deeper each day. However, like a lightning bolt cutting through the sky on a clear night, Zhang, an ambitious man from the neighboring city, appeared in our village. He was known for his persuasion and ability to sow doubt. As I saw him approaching, a chill ran down my spine. "Li Wei," he began, with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "I heard rumors about your miracles. Do you really believe that water and salt can solve all of life's problems?" The crowd immediately fell silent, and I felt everyone's gaze turn toward me. "Zhang, it's not about believing in something magical. It's about the faith we have in each other and in ourselves." "Faith? That's just an illusion. What you have here is temporary. True prosperity comes from hard work and logic," he retorted, challenging us all. The atmosphere of hope we had built began to dissipate. Zhang was a master of manipulation, and I saw doubt settle on some faces. "What if it's all a fraud?" whispered a woman next to me. "We need to be careful," I murmured to Mei Lin, who was beside me. "Zhang could be a problem. We need to unite even more." "We can't let him destroy what we've built," she replied, her determination unwavering. Zhang's words echoed in my mind, and I knew that the battle for faith was just beginning. The journey of transformation we had started was about to face its greatest challenges. How would we deal with doubt and ambition? The answer lay in our hands and in our hearts. The morning breeze whispered through the trees as I found myself sitting by the edge of the sacred lake, the reflection of the water rippling under the soft light of the rising sun. The fresh scent of damp earth mingled with the salty smell of the lake, and for a moment I allowed myself to be carried away by the serenity of the place. But the peace was ephemeral. The competition against Zhang loomed over me like a dark, threatening cloud. "Li Wei," called Mei Lin, interrupting my thoughts. She approached, her face radiant and her eyes shining with determination. "Are you ready for tomorrow's challenge?" I took a deep breath, trying to find the right words. "I am, but I don't know if I can do it. What if I fail? What if this is all just an illusion?" Mei Lin sat beside me, her presence a balm for my insecurities. "Li Wei, you shouldn't think that way. What we're doing goes beyond a simple test of faith. It's about inspiring the village, about showing that true strength lies in believing and acting with love. The ritual we discovered is not just for us, but for everyone who needs hope." "Do you really believe that?" I asked, looking into her eyes. There was a sincerity there that made me feel a bit more secure. "I believe it," she smiled, and the sunlight reflected on her face in such a perfect way that it almost seemed magical. It's not about winning or losing. What matters is the intention, the energy we put into our actions. I remembered the first time I performed the ritual, the hope that grew within me when I wrote my name on the leaf and dipped it in the salty water. The giant fish I caught was not just a miracle. It was a sign that things could change. But now, with the challenge ahead, doubt weighed heavy on my heart. "What would you do if you were in my place?" I asked, seeking comfort. Mei Lin was silent for a moment, looking at the surface of the lake. "I would do what my heart tells me. Sometimes true courage is not about having no fear, but about moving forward despite it. Don't let Zhang's pressure stop you from believing in yourself and in the power of the ritual." She was right. Zhang wasn't just a rival. He was a representation of all the doubts I carried. But what if, instead of letting the competition distract me, I used it as a drive to reaffirm my faith? The idea began to blossom within me, a small flame of hope. Thank you, Mei Lin. I looked at her with gratitude. You always know what to say. That's what friends do, she replied, giving me a light pat on the arm. Now let's prepare. What will you do in the challenge? At that moment, the sunlight seemed to shine even more brightly. I needed to prepare, not just physically, but mentally. I returned home and grabbed the notebook, where I wrote my thoughts and wishes. I wanted to focus on what truly mattered, on what I wished for the village and for myself. I concentrated on writing my name in the most beautiful handwriting I could manage. Then beside it I wrote, "May faith and prosperity reign once more in our village." The feeling accompanying those words was intense. It was a desire not just for myself, but for everyone who lived there. That night, before sleeping, I prepared the water with salt, dipped the leaf and made my prayer. May I find the strength to face the challenge and, above all, may I be a beacon of hope for others. May everyone in the village feel the magic of this ritual. As sleep came, my dreams were filled with images of laughter and prosperity, of the village united around the faith that had begun to blossom among us. But when I woke up on the morning of the challenge, anxiety returned with full force. The tension was palpable in the air, and the village was filled with onlookers, all eager to see what would happen. When I arrived at the challenge site, I saw Zhang already surrounded by a group of people, his arrogant posture drawing attention. He was showing off, talking about how his powers were superior and that I had no chance. This only increased my nervousness. "Look at him," Zhang laughed, pointing at me. "A simple fisherman thinking he can compete with me. What can he do that I cannot?" His words cut like a knife. A chill ran down my spine. But then I remembered what Mei Lin had said. True courage. I decided that I would not let his provocations shake me. I looked at the crowd and realized that I was not just competing for myself. There were other lives at stake. "You can doubt me, Zhang, but not the faith of our people." My voice came out stronger than I expected, echoing among the trees. "What we are doing is bigger than both of us." Zhang raised an eyebrow, evidently surprised by my sudden confidence. "We will see if that faith is enough to perform a miracle. Tomorrow, the true power will be revealed." The crowd began to murmur, and I felt an expectation in the air. I looked around and saw familiar faces, people who had believed in me, who had also experienced the transformation that the ritual brought. The next day, the tension from the night before transformed into a vibrant energy. Everyone gathered by the lake, and I could feel the presence of those people like a warm cloak around me. Hopes and desires were concentrated in every gaze, and that gave me a new perspective. Zhang began his show, performing magic tricks and making grand promises. It was all very impressive, but I realized there was something empty in his display. He was merely seeking validation for his skill, while I was seeking connection with my people and the essence of the ritual. When it was my turn, I took a deep breath and focused. I looked at the waters of the lake, at the sunlight reflecting and creating 1,000 sparkles. With a heart full of faith and love, I wrote my name again on the paper, thinking of everyone who had supported me and all those who needed hope. May this ritual be a symbol of unity and love, not just for me, but for all of us, I declared, my voice resonating with sincerity. My eyes met Mei Lin's, and I saw a spark of encouragement in her. Whatever happened now, I knew that she and everyone there were part of this journey. And suddenly, the pressure of the challenge transformed into strength. I was ready. The sun had barely risen when I arrived at the lake, the water reflecting the first golden lights of the morning. The air was fresh, and a light breeze made the surface of the water dance gently. Anxiety pulsed in my chest like a drum, reminding me of the challenge ahead. Zhang, with his arrogance and disdain, seemed to want to turn that moment into a spectacle. But I knew that what truly mattered was not the competition itself, but the essence of what we had learned from the ritual of water and salt. My thoughts wandered as I looked at the container I had brought, still with the water and salt mixed together. Mei Lin had advised me to stay calm, to not lose sight of the true purpose of our journey. What matters, Li Wei, is not just the miracle you seek for yourself, but the sincere desire you have to help others, she had said. Those words echoed in my mind, like a mantra reminding me of my role in that community. When I finally spotted Zhang approaching, wearing a white shirt that almost glowed under the sunlight, my heart raced. He walked with the confidence of a man who believed himself invincible, and the crowd gathered around him seemed hypnotized by his presence. Today, we will discover the true power of desire, he proclaimed, gesturing widely. With each word, the tension in the air grew, and I knew many were eager to see what would happen. Li Wei, Zhang shouted, his eyes shining with provocation. Are you ready to lose, or will you run to the lake and hide like you always do? A few laughs echoed in the crowd, and I felt a wave of shame. But it wasn't what he said that worried me. It was what that meant for our village, for our ritual. What truly mattered was the connection we were trying to build between us and the world. I took a deep breath, trying to push away the pressure that enveloped me. As the eyes turned towards me, I realized that the only thing I wanted was for everyone there to find something greater than ourselves. With a determination that rose from the depths of my being, I began to concentrate. The ritual was not about winning or losing. It was about sharing faith and hope. Deep in my heart, I decided that I didn't care about the outcome. I looked at Zhang, and in a moment of pure compassion, an idea emerged. Instead of writing my name, something everyone expected, I would write his name. What he needed was not an individual miracle, but the chance to rediscover his own essence. Zhang, I called, making him stop. He looked at me, surprise mixing with anger on his face. I want to offer you something. The murmurs of the crowd rose, and everyone was now fully attentive. I will write your name in the water with salt because I believe you too deserve to find your true purpose. Zhang raised an eyebrow, clearly confused. What are you saying, Li Wei? This is a competition. You should want to win, not give my name to a ritual. Perhaps the true miracle lies in helping others discover their path, I replied, trying to stay calm. With that, I took a piece of paper and, with the pen I always carried, wrote Zhang's name. With each letter I formed, I felt that I was not only shifting the focus of the challenge, but also opening space for something greater. When I submerged the paper in the salt water, a silence settled over the crowd. The lake seemed to vibrate in response, and a light breeze blew, creating small ripples on the surface. I wish for you to find what you are truly seeking, I declared, feeling the words flow from me as if they were a prayer. Zhang looked at the water, then at me, and for the first time, there was no disdain in his gaze. He seemed perplexed, as if he were absorbing the meaning of it all. What I had done was not just an act of generosity, but an invitation to transformation. And then, in a moment that seemed to stretch in time, something extraordinary happened. A soft light began to emanate from the lake, almost as if the water were responding to our collective desire. The people around us began to murmur, and some even moved closer, fascinated. Zhang, with his eyes fixed on the water, started to change. The expression of arrogance on his face transformed into something more vulnerable. He was faced with a choice, to continue the rivalry or to join the community I was trying to protect. Li Wei, he finally spoke, his voice trembling. Why did you do this? I've always been your rival. Why did you care about me? The sincerity in his words was palpable, and I realized that Zhang's desire for power and recognition had been replaced by a deeper yearning. Because I believe we all have the ability to change and find our purpose. We don't have to be rivals, Zhang. We can be allies, I replied, and the truth of those words resonated in the crowd. There was a new energy in the air, something that united all of us that morning. The crowd began to applaud, and I felt that in that moment everything had changed. Zhang was no longer an adversary. He was becoming part of our story. The salt water was not just a ritual, but a symbol of transformation, love, and compassion. As the applause echoed, I realized that the true miracle was not in gaining wealth or fame, but in teaching and helping others find their way. The lake, once a simple body of water, was now a sacred space of transformation, where shared kindness and faith became the true treasure of our village. With a smile on my face, I looked at Mei Lin, who was among the crowd, her eyes shining with pride and happiness. The miracle we had sought was not just mine, but belonged to all of us. And so, the salt water would become a new tradition in our village, an eternal reminder that true magic resides in our hearts and in the connections we make with one another. Now let's take a brief reflection. Sometimes we feel trapped in our routines like Li Wei and seek something deeper to give meaning to our lives. The story shows us that faith, both in ourselves and in others, can open doors to miracles and transformations. Even amidst doubts and challenges, like in the encounter with Zhang, compassion and unity are the true keys to change. May we all find the purpose we seek and help others do the same. If you enjoyed this story, leave your comment with the lesson that touched you the most. What was your main reflection? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the upcoming stories, because they will surprise and inspire you even more. Until the next video.